If you look closely, you can see it on the 6-hour chart. Bitcoin breaking, very briefly, $70,000. Entering a massive zone of resistance. And this could be a very bullish confirmation type of area. But in my view, as far as I'm concerned when looking at these charts, I'm just waiting, I'm watching. And this is what I want to talk about in this video. If we look at the daily, we get a really good glimpse of where Bitcoin is, this upper trend line of this massive channel that we've been talking about. And we're going to talk about what to anticipate in the short term. So please hit the subscribe, hit the like. Let's jump into the video as we kind of break down the beginning of this week for Bitcoin price action. But I really do want to go to the weekly to point something out. I'm going to keep updating on this. We're just around 100 days post Bitcoin halving. That's where we are in this cycle. If we just go and we look at last cycle, if we look at Bitcoin halving 2020, look at this. We're looking at what? 100 days. There it is, right around here. Bitcoin just at the starting line of that last bull cycle. And if we go back 2 cycles ago and we look at 100 days or so past the 2016 halving, check it out. Bitcoin just getting started. And you can see it's really this process of trying to escape that 20-week moving average across both cycles. And interestingly enough, if we go look at Bitcoin right now, Bitcoin, and we've been tracking this 20-week moving average, Bitcoin back above the 20-week moving average. It's exactly where we want to see it at exactly the same time of previous cycles, right? This is how we want to see this chart play out. Now, I will say before we pivot to the short term, how will the candle close? And you can see we're in between a massive macro support. This is truly a multi-cycle support area, especially right after Bitcoin halving. We just saw in previous halvings, post Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin escapes the 20-week moving average. So can Bitcoin stay above the 20-week moving average? And notice it's right in between that and all-time high. So this is kind of getting very interesting, suspenseful. $73,000 some dollars down to around $65,000, a very small range for Bitcoin right now. But we start zooming in on the charts and we start looking at, okay, Bitcoin right now is testing the upper trend line of this channel. So the channel is really kind of like a falling channel. You can see just this upper trend line with lower highs, a lower trend line with lower lows. And Bitcoin right now has seen incredible volatility in the setup of this channel, which goes back, by the way, to March. This is a pretty large breakout channel for Bitcoin, meaning we have a target to the upside at $85,000 to $90,000 if Bitcoin can manage to break out. But now that Bitcoin's hitting this upper trend line once again, and just notice we were here before. This was in June. And what did Bitcoin do? Bitcoin fell from that area 26%. It was, I think people were probably talking about, man, that was it. This was the all-time high for Bitcoin right there, bear market time. And it's kind of like, I disagree because of where we are in this Bitcoin cycle. Many people disagree because of other things besides where we are in the cycle, like on-chain metrics, what's going on from a macroeconomic, political perspective. So here we are. And the setup is now Bitcoin back at the upper trend line. So yes, we have a really nice target to the upside. It sounds really nice. It's very good for clickbait, but we have a ton of resistance, namely the short-term resistance. How does this daily candle close today? And this is a really good way to start the week. It's Monday. It's going to be very interesting to see if Bitcoin can close this daily candle with strength away from this upper trend line. You can see it did not do it last time. So it would be very interesting to see how this daily candle closes, meaning do we get that strength or are we going to see some type of wick here and Bitcoin actually just starts consolidating or sideways? If it breaks out, if Bitcoin manages to break out to start this week, we have this move to all-time high. That is so close. Look how close Bitcoin is to all-time high right now. We have around 5 to 6% away from all-time high for Bitcoin. That is a move that can happen today. That could happen so fast for Bitcoin. So that entire resistance area, and we can really just put it like, there's that upper trend line. Here is this trend line here. We can kind of just extend this and you see how this is formed. This is a macro resistance area for Bitcoin right now. And it is there as I start this video to start this week. If it fails, this is what I'd be watching. Obviously, the market would need to increase their patience. This is what Bitcoin and crypto does. It tests our patience. but we have this 20-day moving average crossing below the 50. And this could be a very good thing. It's what I want to talk about. And I want to talk about it within context of this move back here, because this happened before. The 20-day crossing above the 50, looking good. We're about to get a breakout, and then boom, 20-some% to the downside. Why is it different this time? I want to discuss that. First off, from that downside, really nice move through those moving averages, a test of support to the 50-day, and right around the 20-day, really nice, and then a bounce. If we get the resistance here, Bitcoin falls back down. This is what we need to track. Can these moving averages continue to hold the 50, the 20-day moving average? I want to go over to, let's just zoom out on this daily chart. And I want to show you something, keeping in mind the 50 and the 20-day moving averages, the blue and green line. If we go all the way back to last cycle, just look at what Bitcoin does in bullish environments, in bull cycles, right? So here's Bitcoin getting ready to explode, and then finally it breaks out, right? What we want to see is something like this. There's the 20 crossing the 50. That's happening now for Bitcoin. We want to see the continued support above these two areas, right? Even if Bitcoin falls below 1, can it just hold above the 2? That's kind of what a parabolic move looks like for Bitcoin in a really bullish environment. And now you can see Bitcoin, we're getting that 20-day crossing back above the 50. Can this be the moment where Bitcoin explodes through not only resistance, but into this higher high, higher low parabolic environment? Now, again, it really relies on the fact of Bitcoin holding support at that area. So if Bitcoin fails here, or maybe Bitcoin tests all-time high, and then it's coming back down, no matter how it happens, what's happening at the 20 and the 50-day moving average? The 50-day right now is around 63,500, right? That's a little bit of a cushion as of right now for Bitcoin, which is good, and it could give some more consolidation for Bitcoin before getting the breakout. But we have to be very mindful whether or not this even holds, and we have to watch that. If it holds, Bitcoin comes back down, it holds, it bounces again. This will be getting way more bullish every time that happens. Let's just real quick, I want to end with this because I think it is so important. This move back here, if you look at this, what's different? We had the 20-day crossing above the 50, and then Bitcoin right in the beginning of June kind of topping out, right end of May kind of topping out. What's different between that swing high and this swing high? If you go to the weekly chart, I just want to point this out. Bitcoin, back when that was happening, here is the May, June area right here. There's that swing high on the weekly. Just look at Bitcoin. It was still falling and still consolidating, right? It was still up here around, just around the overbought area. And since then, we've had a huge just consolidation to the downside. And with that, it's not just price. I think Germany selling is in there somewhere. I think minor capitulation and minor selling off was in there, and then that bottomed out. Those things happened in this move. And so this move that we're in right now, this could be the bounce that we're currently in. And you can see this could be illustrated by Bitcoin breaking above the 20-week moving average, that green line, as opposed to Bitcoin falling below. And this could be one of the more bullish indicators. So we'll continue tracking this as we get this week started for Bitcoin. Again, let's see if Bitcoin can, at the very least, close above 65,700 or so. That's the 20-week moving average. And it's going to be a very wild, crazy, interesting week for Bitcoin. Let's see what happens. Hit the subscribe, everybody. Hit the like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.